This place is our home. A home to foster the creativity and ingenuity of eager minds full of potential, demonstrating what we are capable of when we come together. Breakthroughs in writing, science, and medicine, expeditions that push the boundaries of human exploration, pursuing excellence in competition through student athletics, the sharing and teachings of each other's cultures, developing new understandings of how others go about their daily lives. But, like so many others in our nation and around the world, it is also a place grappling with our generation's most significant challenge.
I have been at the University of Iowa for 7 years, working with students and athletes as they determine their way forward as citizens of the world. I have seen remarkable successes in that time, and I have also seen failures in our system. I have learned so much from being in conversation, friendship, and collaborations with so many different types of people over the years. I am here now, when we need it most, to keep us honest, our staff, faculty, and leadership. I am here to listen to you, and I am also here to help you tell your story. I am here to lead our campus, our students, our staff, our faculty, and alumni as we begin a journey toward unity. Being unified is not an initiative. This will be a way of life for the University of Iowa. It will be a strengthening of our values and a sharpening of our shared vision. So Tomas Arce, how are you today?
I'm doing well.
So I'm sitting here chatting today with Dr. Sarah Sanders, Jessica Wellborn-Page, Ben Collin. Ben, I have known you all throughout your college career here. Interim Dean for College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, who is an assistant professor of sociology and African American studies. Right now, you currently serve as interim associate director for multicultural and international student support and engagement. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Wonderful. My questions are, what can we do to respect our unique qualities and align our core values? What kind of reckoning is needed so we understand the shoes others are walking in, so they know the shoes we've been walking in? When do we need to sit down and support, and when do we need to step up and lead? The truth is, we need to figure out how to be who we are and work together. Most important, I am here to work with you to better understand unity.
So I think that this period has really brought about a greater awareness of the impact of historical racism and historical trauma, and the fact that so many of our structures have been based and built on the whole concept of supremacy.
When I think about my experience, I think about this analogy of there's a goalpost that is just continuously moving back and back and back. That every time I try to make it closer to that goalpost and I'm there to be done or there for kind of just to be there, it just keeps being moved further and further away. And so when I think about these past 6 months in particular, the ways that I've had to just personally have to go through that capacity and then be there as a support system for students that I am serving in community and sharing in community with.
It is definitely the feeling of isolation. So as I said, I think Iowa City is a great college town, and there are a lot of great things to do here, and it is a livable place. But we are in the middle of a state that's not very diverse. When you start to look at members of underrepresented groups, you start to see a real lack of diversity, not only among the faculty, but among the student body. And so I think that presents a challenge for people, and if they don't have a support network, then being persistent in that environment, feeling comfortable working, can be challenging.
We can say that we've known that. While we can say that that is there, I think the depth and the anger and the need to say it's time for reform have never been so present within society.
I think there's a lot of people that are in similar positions to me where they know that there's things going on in the world, there's things that they want to see changed in the world, but they've never experienced it and they don't know where to go from there. And so I think there's a lot of people that are wondering, are curious, and that might lead to some sitting back and just watching and letting things happen that maybe they wouldn't have been okay with, but they don't know what to do. So it just kind of or what to say. So it just kind of continues to go on. And I think that was really part of the reason I reached out to you. I didn't know how to answer. I didn't know how to respond.
The groups I'm most concerned about are our students, who we know have been incredibly victimized. And we know that our students are highly mobilized, and they are expecting us as leaders to take a very active role in creating and addressing these historic issues that have been always present.
Annika Dean, nice to see you. How have things been going for you?
Things have been going pretty well. Finals week is pretty stressful, but other than that, I've been doing pretty good.
What do you think about the students who are here at Iowa, and specifically, students of color who come here? Do you feel like they belong here at the University of Iowa?
I've experienced this firsthand. I've only had one Black teacher, and I've been at school for 3 semesters at this point. I've had one Black teacher, and I've even taken African American culture classes, and even those teachers weren't Black. And in the class that I took, my experience is that the teacher did the best that he could, and he was very amazing. He was probably one of my favorite professors. But I just think it's really hard to be a student on a predominantly white campus and not see someone in these positions, these higher up positions that looks like you, and someone that can understand your experiences.
This challenge cannot be overcome by just one person or a single initiative. This requires deliberate action with thorough follow-through. To act with clear intention to bring about change, we must first appeal to our sense of empathy and listen to the voices of our university.
Thank you all so much for joining us tonight and taking time out of your busy schedules. Hopefully you're done with final exams, so hopefully they all went well for you all. What are some of the challenges that either you personally have had or that you've witnessed here at the University of Iowa?
I guess not knowing who to reach out to, when you're in classes full of white people, sometimes they say things and I'm do I tell the professor that comment wasn't good, or do I just ignore it? It puts a lot of pressure on me that I have to speak up, and that's a lot to do in a class full of so many people.
I'm involved with the Women's Resources and Action Centers, the RAC, being able to connect with people who can relate to my experiences. And, as a woman of color myself, who is, in the STEM field, I'm a pre-med student, so that is it can get a little exhausting. So it's nice to have that support, which is what RAC has given me, from these programs and events that they host.
The cultural centers have meant, I can't even put it in words, a lot to me. There's the saying of it's your home away from home, and boy, is that super freaking accurate. I've met so many people at the cultural centers. So many different opportunities have opened up for me. I've been able to, like I said, be a part of a bunch of different initiatives because of the cultural centers.
I found the Pride House to be a sort of refuge from all of the struggles that we sometimes face at the University of Iowa and throughout the world in whole as a queer person in today's society.
I think that it's super important for Black students to have a hub on a campus, to have a place where they feel at home, where they can kick their feet up, where after being in a class of all white students, they can go and, let loose with their friends. And I feel like the Afro House that we have, I feel like there was an effort there, and even just having one, but I think that it could be more central to campus. I think it could be larger and more inclusive.
It's really thinking about how those individuals can truly activate together, engage with coalition and coalescing, and the ways that they can engage with building that power from the bottom to the top. And so I believe then students coalescing together to truly affect that change, their voice, so that top level administration can hear those effects, hear the ways that the conversations are being had on the student level, to use that and to move forward in that way.
And I feel oftentimes we found, particularly over this past summer, that the idea of unity was being used as a means to connect us all, while not truly understanding that there are so many differences between students, and that those differences are what make the University of Iowa an important place to come. And while we are still a predominantly white institution that holds a lot of instances of disproportionate rates of all sorts of problems for different students of different backgrounds, I think it's important to recognize that we find ourselves to try and think of everyone as being the same. In actuality, that's not the case, and that's something to be celebrated.
What does unity mean to you? I think unity means being one. I think being together. I think it means having the same goal.
And to me, it's everyone everywhere coming together for a common goal and cause.
To me, unity is when a group of people, whether like-minded or not, can come together to accomplish a goal that's going to benefit all of its members.
Unity means coming together from diverse backgrounds, diverse genders, diverse sexualities, and working together for the same cause.
In our most recent faculty and staff climate survey, 73% of respondents said they are satisfied with the campus climate. However, 29% of respondents shared critical feedback about a lack of leadership and commitment to action. 41% of respondents reported that they considered leaving the institution.
I'm deeply concerned about our faculty because I think we have to recognize that our faculty of color, they carry a burden with them through the work that they do that's often silenced, it's often unrecognized.
As you see people come and go, it seems to be an obstacle for folks across the board.
So when you say people come and go, can you talk about that a little bit more? You've seen a lot of change here at the university. Tell me about that experience for you.
Sure. Well, I think going along with faculty diversity, one of the challenges then is that people will leave. People of color will leave, particularly if they do feel isolated or there's not enough faculty of color, they're the only one in their department. A lot of times if they get another offer from a more diverse place, they tend to take it. And so if you're here for a while, you do see a lot of turnover, which kind of enhances, I think, the feeling of isolation sometimes.
I do think that we have seen in our society, our campus community is no different. It's a reflection of our general society, right? And we are at a time in our country where sometimes we are very divided, right? And I think that you see that sometimes reflected. And so there are folks who may believe that there's too much of an emphasis. So just want to get your thoughts on that.
I would say, if they were to say that there's too much emphasis, I would say there's too much inequality, because just the fact that they're saying that shows how normalized the inequality is.
How do you speak to that particular audience around diversity, equity, and inclusion?
What I would ask them to do is to ask themselves those same questions. Where are you at? Where are you at with your own journey? Sit, reflect. What is it about this topic that makes you feel uncomfortable? What is it about this topic that in some way hits you that makes you feel like it's not relevant to you?
Open up, listen, and then try to take the advice that maybe somebody who has had a negative experience, somebody that has experienced things that we would hope they never would have experienced, and realize, okay, maybe we do have an issue here that we can work on and build from that and go, okay, how can we remedy this? And now how can we continue to grow to make sure that something like that doesn't happen anymore?
I got an email from a student this summer who had graduated several years ago. He probably graduated, 2012, something like that, a while ago. And he goes, "You probably don't know me." He goes, "I bet you have no clue who I am anymore." He said, "But I took this class with you." And he said, "I didn't agree with anything you said." He said, "In my mind, you were way too progressive. In my mind, you represented everything that I had been taught that we don't believe in my family." And he said, "But you always respected me." He said, "And when I disagreed, you never made me feel bad. You always respected me." Wow. And he said, "I just want you to know, as I've been watching everything that's happening in the world and associated with the death of George Floyd, I want to let you know I'm remembering those things that you said, and I'm remembering the way that you said we have the ability to change society in the course of society through our actions. And he goes, I just want to let you know I'm marching with Black Lives Matter, that night. And it was just reading it was so touching to be like, you got it, you understand. It was cool.
Yeah.
Having DEI embedded in like all courses from start to finish of each semester, not only does it create like a welcoming space for students of color and underrepresented students in general, because sometimes there are those instances where you may be the only student of color in the class, and you kind of feel left out, you feel closed off to everybody else.
When I think and hear about too much emphasis is placed in diversity, equity, and inclusion, I truly think about the buzzwords of it, and the way from a campus logics perspective, or even kind of a communications perspective, the way that diversity, equity, and inclusion are used, but maybe not truly defined and also incorporated into work.
I think a lot of universities will put a couple Black students on the front of a brochure or in the front of a football game photo and be like, oh, we have diversity, but I think that really taking steps to foster diversity and encourage it and to make sure that it continues to grow is something that schools really need to focus on. I think that Iowa definitely, especially even with this video, with this initiative, I think is taking steps towards that effort and towards making those changes.
That it feels like that it has to be something extra. And then I feel like maybe folks are not understanding how it's always a part of any work that we do, where more efforts can be on. Where is it embedded in the work that anyone on our University of Iowa campus engages with already.
Like when it comes to unity, like in this case, I feel like a lot of people would define it as, agreeing with one another, standing by each other's side no matter what, and even if the other person is wrong. But I feel like it's deeper than that. It's the intention that you have for the other person. Even though we're all different and we all come from different backgrounds, we all have different views even. Unity consists of acknowledging those differences and maybe even appreciating them, but not letting it get in the way or put a barrier between us. So I think a big part of it is just accepting the difference while being able to come together.
The embedding of diversity, equity, and inclusion within our university is a responsibility that we know so many have already been carrying. And now is the time for leadership to shoulder that responsibility with us all. Students, staff, faculty, leadership, and alumni, all unifying to realize our most tremendous potential, so that we may truly grow and enact meaningful change that celebrates our differences.
What do you want unity to mean to the University of Iowa? I think I would like this to mean that all of our parts can work together to ensure that our university, our campus community is one that is inclusive.
There are always going to be challenges, but they feel that there are resources and people available to meet those challenges so that the community becomes and remains an inclusive place.
That everyone, especially our minority staff, student athletes, students, feel like they belong.
There has to be a connection point, a community building point, and a common understanding point. And so to me, that's unity, truly being in that symbiotic relationship in order to be in a common understanding of each other and others around us.
To all come together, to use our voices, our platform, and our resources to bring people together, especially those from underrepresented communities and those who don't have the voices to speak for themselves.
I look at our students and I think about their growth and I think about their development and I think about how they are, again, going to go out and be these future leaders. And part of that is for them to have the ability to learn how to create unity in the spaces that they come into. How do they build these inclusive spaces?
but it starts with everyone seeing the common goal and working towards that goal, being together.
I think that unity also has to do with standing up for each other and truly accepting one another for your differences, bonding together for a common purpose, creating change together. I think that all of those things have to do with unity.
Our journey to unity starts today as we all work together to define what it means to be a Hawkeye.